High street pharmacists are often seen as pillars of the community. They're trusted, they're respected, and of course they're highly regulated. They're certainly not the kind of people you'd expect to be mixed up in an illegal and potentially dangerous black market trade. But our undercover investigation has revealed that in some parts of London, this is exactly what is going on. And now senior politicians are calling for urgent action to clamp down on the illegal sale of prescription medicines. Lynn has this exclusive report.
Prescription drugs, like hazardous tranquilizers a doctor gives you. We've uncovered a dangerous black market trade. Latest figures show more die from abuse of some prescription drugs than cocaine and ecstasy combined.
The tributes continue to pile up, but so do the questions.
And the highest profile death of all, Michael Jackson.
So there's a reason for prescriptions. Such drugs are dangerous, often addictive, and can kill. But we've discovered that these kinds of drugs are available with astonishing ease here in the capital.
We've all been warned to avoid the internet for prescription drugs. But this isn't online, in shady faraway back streets, or illicit deals. This is the heart of the capital, and these are trusted high street pharmacists.
I think people will be shocked to see high street pharmacies acting like small-time drug pushers.
Go on.
Can you tell me why you've been selling dangerous and addictive drugs? I'm really sorry, but it's a very important question. Why have you been selling Valium over the counter?
I'd heard that some hazardous drugs could be as easy to buy as a bar of chocolate. Selling them with no prescription breaks the law and a pharmacist's code of conduct. So this is how it should be done.
I would check the prescription to make sure the medicine is appropriate for you. As part of that, we will keep a record of the medicine, and we'll keep a record of your name, address, doctor's details, so if there's any query in the future, we have a record to be able to compare the information against.
Amoxicillin, a common antibiotic, but its misuse can be dangerous. Only a qualified professional can decide you're suitable. A prescription's essential, or is it?
عندك amoxicillin.
In an emergency, a pharmacist can give some, but he must take full details.
I'm wanting amoxicillin.
Which strength?
500.
You used it before?
Yeah.
Here, no name, no address, no emergency, just cash.
How much?
$6.50.
Doctors fear this kind of oversupply could make it ineffective for everyone.
Imagine if your child gets an infection and you go to the GP and your child gets put on an antibiotic that doesn't work. It may not work because your child has developed a resistance to it. That resistance has come about by people misusing the antibiotic in general.
So we'd established that prescription medicines can be obtained. But I'd heard that certain drugs that doctors described as highly dangerous and addictive were available. So how far would these pharmacists go?
This is where they make the active chemicals of Valium and Librium, the great tranquilizers of our time.
They were promoted in the 1960s and 70s as safe tranquilizers, a cure for everything from sleeplessness to guilt. Valium, Librium, Ativan, some of the drugs known as benzodiazepines. Now we know if you take them for more than a short period, they can cause addiction.
I'd rather somebody lopped my arm off than take my medication away from me.
Josh's life was ruined by these pills. He was prescribed Valium as a boy in the 1970s, as he was hyperactive. 40 years later, he's addicted, with horrendous side effects if he tries to stop.
Hyperventilation, panic attacks, sometimes sick, seizures around the waist. I personally cannot think of a worse type of torture than withdrawal from benzodiazepines, which is for me, is a legally prescribed drug. And no GP ever said to me, guess what, Josh, if you stop taking this medication, you're going to go through sheer hell. I just cannot believe that somebody like a pharmacist who you would ultimately respect for their knowledge would even consider giving such a serious and dangerous drug over the counter to anybody.
With Josh's story in mind, I need to find out if they really sell such potent medicine. What you're about to see breaks the law and breaches every ethical code expected of a pharmacist.
تعبان شوي بس تعودت غادي ناخذ فيه فاليوم.
فاليوم.
Yes. فنبي فاليوم.
هو العشرة هذا 20 طبعا.
20.
يجي 28 حبة. كم علبة باقي؟
اوكي تو علبة اعطيني علبة. حنجيك بعدين مرة حنجيك لما اخذ.
And in the space of a few weeks, we buy nearly 300 tablets. Medicines are sold to us for up to £200 a time.
الفاليوم. موجود فاليوم. نبي فاليوم.
بسعر 85 باوند. فيه 50.
50 حبة. أهم شيء تكون حاجة أوريجينال ما أحبش
لا أوريجينال فاليوم ألماني. شركة روش.
This is no one-off. The same pharmacists repeatedly sell. We amass a stock of dangerous drugs. But most shocking is yet to come. Temazepam is a potentially lethal sleeping tablet if wrongly used. Class A drug users often take it to come down after a fix, and pharmacists have to keep it under lock and key. Our researcher saunters in and gets a controlled, dangerous drug like it's paracetamol.
كروم زبان كروم زف.
اوه 10 أو 20
10
ملغرام
10 ملغرام.
Who knows where the drugs this shop sells are going to and the addictions they're feeding? None of the chemists advised us on dose. Elsewhere, we even get a bottle of powerful painkiller morphine. An overdose on this could kill you. Alarmingly, the chemist who sold it to us tells us to drink as much as we like.
سعر كويس عشان ممكن تظبط الجرعة.
سائلة.
If you want 5 ml تاخذ 2.5 ملي.
Doctors say what you've just heard is playing Russian roulette with a patient's life.
The irony is that the legal drugs are the substances that people can die from in withdrawal. In fact, oddly, the illegal drugs such as cocaine and heroin don't tend to kill people in withdrawal. They are actually interfering with people's health and potentially exposing them to the risk of serious side effects and even death.
So, is this a few bad pharmacists or something wider? The Department of Health, the medicines regulator, the MHRA, and the General Pharmaceutical Council all insist they're tackling the issue. We asked them all for an interview, they all declined. In the last year, the General Pharmaceutical Council says it's taken action against one pharmacy in the whole country illegally selling drugs. We found 9 in a few weeks, within just a few miles of each other in West London. Despite very serious health risks, there are hardly ever spot checks. Senior politicians are calling for an urgent change in the law.
Quite frankly, I was lost for words. On the high street, people feeding addiction, causing great harm. I think what's been uncovered here asks serious questions of the regulatory system of pharmacies, and I think it's for the government now to order a review into whether the system of regulation is doing a job. You know, for pharmacies to be acting in this way, I mean, this is just unacceptable on every level. So, you know, there has to be a proper look now at whether or not the system that regulates pharmacies is fit for purpose.
We contacted the pharmacies in this film to ask for an explanation. They all failed to provide one. So, time for some answers.
Guy Lynn from the BBC. Do you know what that is?
No.
That's tablets of Valium that we purchased without a prescription from your pharmacy.
It's impossible.
It's impossible, is it? Well, we've got you secretly recorded doing it, so how can you explain that?
I'm not.
Excuse me, sir, you are the pharmacist. Okay. You've been selling dangerous drugs over the counter like they're bars of chocolate. Why have you been doing this?
Answer any question.
Please tell me why you've been doing this.
Come on, go out.
Can you tell me why you're selling controlled drugs over the counter like temazepam? Highly dangerous controlled drugs that should be kept under lock and key. Guy Lynn from the BBC.
No.
Can you just tell me why you've been selling prescription-only medicines in this pharmacy?
Can you leave? Excuse me.
Can you just tell me why it is you're doing it? I just want to know.
No problem. Can you leave?
But it is your problem because you were doing it. You were selling it.
Leave, please. No comment. Can you leave? That's it.
We've uncovered how worryingly easy it is to get these kinds of medicines. We'll be handing them over to the authorities, as calls mount for tougher regulation to clamp down on chemists like these.